Anyway, guys, welcome back. This is History of Power Rangers Season 1, Episode 51 of my show, but this is about Episode 54. And Episode 54 in the original Power Rangers series is known as Trick or Now, Episode 54 in the original Power Rangers series is known as Trick or Treat. But before I start talking about it, one thing I'm going to mention is since we're on Episode 54, we've got 6, let's see, because the previous one was about 7, so it was about 53, which was about which meant it was 57, so that means this is 6 more videos left. Yeah, we got 6 more videos left before we finish the first season. But before I actually start talking about it, I just want to mention something. You guys probably heard me laughing there at the beginning of the video. Now I'm going to show you why. So I'm going to just bring it over here to my TV so I can show you guys why I was laughing very quickly before I start talking about the actual video. Again, I apologize if you guys see this in a video.
I'll check over behind us. Yeah, what's that?
They're weird, huh? They don't look dangerous. It sounds as though they are devoid of any internal substance.
Well, there's got to be something to them, or Zordon wouldn't have sent us out here. We've got to look into it.
I can't see!
They must be connected somehow.
Look at them! They're all moving!
Sorry if you guys see this in the video, I completely apologize.
Let's get them!
Yeah!
This is what I wanted. Trick or treat, you're incomplete to the Power Rangers you can be. All you are is Pumpkin Me. And then, this is the next part that's coming up, guys. Oh, you Rangers make me mad. Look me up with about that.
It's time for us to be you!
There's something you can do. There's some friends that like to be you. Now, go get him. And there's one more little funny thing with this monster I wanted to show you guys. Come to my pumpkin patch. Perhaps you'd like to play some catch. That's all I wanted to show you guys for this episode. So, before I actually start talking about it, I want to apologize that you guys saw that in the video. I just wanted to show you that stuff. So if you guys saw that in the early segments of this video, I completely apologize. I just wanted to show you guys that. Anyway, now getting into the actual episode. This is History of Power Rangers Season 1, Episode 50. One of my show, but this is about episode 54, and episode 54 is known as Trick or Treat. Now basically what happens is, the Rangers, the 6 Rangers are in the youth center basically. Well, 4 of the 6 Rangers are in the youth center, and then Kimberly shows up and she tells them that she's got some news, that she's going to be on the new game, the game show Trick or Treat. And, well, actually, in this episode is like one of the hottest game shows in America, apparently, which is kind of weird. Anyway, basically what happens is after that, she tells them that she could win a prize, and this time the prize is a car, basically. And then she's also, she basically tells the Rangers that she also wonders who her opponent is. Oh, before I continue, I just want to mention something. I also want to mention, anyway, like I said, she was wondering who her opponent is, and then Skull basically shows up, and then that's how she finds out that Skull is her. Well, actually, first, after she tells the rest of the Rangers that, she asks Tommy if she wants to come with them to the studio to watch her performance on Trick or Treat. But he said that he can't because he's got a karate competition to prepare for, but he's going to be cheering for her when it comes to that. And then basically what happens is, she also said that she wonders who her opponent is, and then Bulk and Skull show up, and then basically what happens is Kimberly is surprised that Skull is her opponent on the Trick or Treat game show this time around, like for this episode. And then basically after that, then it goes to where Rita is on the moon, and when she overhears about the game show Trick or Treat, that gives her an idea to send down one of her latest monsters, which is called, well, Goldeye suggests that this is a good chance for them to send down her dreaded pumpkin wrapper monster. Now basically, I'm just going to mention quickly a little bit about the pumpkin wrapper. It doesn't take a monster form at the beginning of the segment until the scene that you guys saw in this video that I showed you with where the Rangers were fighting it, because it's one of those pumpkins in a pumpkin patch. Anyway, basically what happens is she, when they send the pumpkins down to Earth as a part of a pumpkin patch, and then basically what happens is Kimberly is, by this point now, Kimberly's competing on the Trick or Treat game show, which is hosted by a guy named Monty Conti. I can't remember. I really can't remember. Really, it's not that I can't remember. It's just And here's the funniest thing: since it's a Halloween-esque game show, basically what happens is the contestants wear these kinds of costumes. So when the contestants this time around, which are Kimberly and Skull, when they first get introduced in the episode for the game show, basically Monty is saying certain things about them that, like, first is the lovely Princess Kimberly Hart, and then the second is recently released from detention. Eugene Skulovich, which is basically Skull's real name, basically. And then basically what happens is after that, Monty is explaining to them the rules for trick or treat. If they basically what the rules are is they have to try to trick him, and in a sense, if they manage to trick him with a trick question, they basically they get a pumpkin point, and then they have to do a little side game where they have to earn more pumpkin points, basically. And then basically what happens is after that, Monty said that whoever has the most pumpkin points by the end of the game wins. And today's fabulous treat, he said that today's fabulous treat is a brand new car, basically. Oh my god. Because that's the prize they're playing for. And then basically, Monty tells Skull that he won the coin toss. So he, gets to try to trick, Monty first with a trick question, and then Skull basically falls for Monty tricking him where he says, "I do it." Where he said that Monty managed to trick him and no pumpkin points for him. And then, but now I'm gonna get into it with Rita's character. After she found out about the trick or treat game show that Kimberly was on, basically what happened was, after she found out about that, she decides to send down her latest monster called the Pumpkin Wrapper. Now, the Pumpkin Wrapper monster is one of the monsters that's going to be featured in Season 2, because, like I said, there were going to be some monsters that the Rangers were going to fight in both this season and the next one that were going to be featured in Season 2. Now, and the Pumpkin Wrapper is basically one of those monsters. And so was the Pexter in the previous video I did. I just wanted to mention that. Anyway, basically what happens is after that, she has Goldar and the others plant some seeds in this pumpkin patch, which is where the Pumpkin Wrapper monster is going to be. And then Tommy is basically, he's on his way to the karate competition, which is when he encounters the putties in this segment of the episode. And then after he encounters the putties a little, he manages to drive them off. And then basically what happens is after that, he contacts Zordon on his communicator and tells them about the situation that happened with the putties. And then basically he said that they're not to worry about it for now, because all he's got to worry about for now, Zordon informs him that he doesn't have to worry about it for right now, because all he should be worrying about is his karate competition. So he goes over to where it is, and then basically what happens is, after that, then it goes back to where Kimberly and Skull are on the game show. After Skull failed for the first time with getting a pumpkin point, it's basically Kimberly's turn in this case, and she basically tells him a trick question. Can he tell her the identities of the Power Rangers, which is funny because even Monty doesn't know who they really are. So Monty says that he's stumped by it, and she managed to trick him. So she gets a pumpkin point, and then she plays another little game where she has to, I think, if I'm remembering correctly from this episode, she spins on that wheel thing, and then I can't really remember, but I know there's a wheel attached. Anyway, then after she gets the pumpkin point, and after a little bit with Monty tells Skull that it's his turn again, and then Bulk starts whispering words to Skull about a question that he can ask Monty, which is basically, what is his best friend's name? And then basically Monty wonders what friend. And then basically Monty gets, which is actually the first time in this episode that Skull has managed to trick Monty, basically, because the first time didn't really count because Monty kind of tricked him when Monty told him, and when the game show segment of this episode started, that he won the coin toss, so he got to try to trick him, but Monty was the one that tricked Skull in this case, so he didn't get a point this time. And then after Monty gets tricked by Skull, basically he gets a pumpkin point, and then after that, what basically happens is he plays this little mini game where he's climbing, where Monty has Skull play this little game within the game where he has to climb this like rope-like spider web to collect a certain amount of insects, and then after that, basically what happens is by this point in time, Rita had already caused them trouble with the not with the pumpkin, because the pumpkin wrapper monster isn't created just yet. So basically what happens is, after Zordon and Alpha, they're watching the game show on the viewing globe, and then basically what happens is then the alarm in the command center goes off, and then Alpha says that basically that's, and it was just about when Kimberly was about to win the car too, and he says, that's showbiz. Oh my god, which is kind of true, because ironically in this case, she loses the competition to Skull by default because of there being an emergency in the command center. Anyway, and then after they find out about that, basically what happens is she fakes this thing where she faints, and then Billy said this scientific term for saying that she fainted after she faked fainting, and then they decide to take her, to a secluded area in order to, which is a lot basically because they need to get to Zordon to find out what the emergency is. And then Bulk is basically excited because he said that makes Skull the winner by default. Now that's going to play a slight hand in what's going to happen at the end of the episode. I'm going to explain later when I get to that point. I just wanted to mention that. And then after Kimberly and the other 5 Rangers leave, basically what happens is after that, she said that she can't believe she lost the car to Skull, but Jason says it's okay because Zordon needs them, and then they teleport to the command center, and then basically what happens after that is Zordon basically informs them about the patch of pumpkins that had showed up, and then when the biggest of the pumpkins blooms, a monster known as the Pumpkin Wrapper will be created, and then Jason wonders what the Pumpkin Wrapper can do, and Zordon says that the Pumpkin Wrapper will try to trick them using his clever raps and rhymes, and then try to destroy them. So basically, after that, Zordon has the Rangers. After that, the Rangers morph and teleport to where the Pumpkin Rapper is. But before that, basically what happens is they're wondering about Tommy, and Zordon is informing him that he's got to focus on his karate thing, which makes sense, and he's also got to conserve his powers because, like I said, for the rest of this season and for some of the second season, he only has his Green Ranger powers as a temporary fix. Anyway, then the Rangers morph and teleport to where the Pumpkin Rapper monster is in the pumpkin patch, and they start looking around at the pumpkins, and then Billy says that the pumpkins are devoid of any substance, but Jason informs them that there's gotta be something, otherwise Zordon wouldn't have sent them there, which is kind of right because of that. And basically, one of the pumpkins gets attached to Jason when he's in his Red Ranger form's head, and they manage to and then the pumpkins get attached to the other ones aside from Kimberly, basically, and then they manage to cut them off, and then basically the other pumpkins get cut off, and then basically what happens is after that they start looking for where the Pumpkin Rapper monster is, and they find the biggest of the pumpkins, and then that's when they do this, as I'm sure you guys saw when I showed you a segment of the episode. They start doing this little bad rap where they say, "Trick or treat, you're incomplete until the Power Rangers you can be. All you are is purple pumpkin meat." And then the Pumpkin Rapper monster is loud out of his sleep, and he's like, "Oh, you Rangers really make me mad, waking me up with a rat-tat-tat." And then basically Jason said now it's time for them to beat him, and then basically the Pumpkin Rapper says in a rap tone where he says, "You think so? I got some friends that think you. Attack now! Go get him!" And then they start battling the Pumpkin Rapper monster a little. And then after that, he said the thing that was even funnier than that. "Welcome to my pumpkin patch! Welcome to my pumpkin patch. Perhaps you'd like to play some catch?" And then after that, Rangers are struggling a little with the Pumpkin Rapper monster because of his vines and electrical stuff, so Zordon contacts Tommy on the communicator, but by the time he gets contacted, he's about to perform in the martial arts thing, but because of the Ranger thing being activated and his friends needing his help, he basically forfeits, so it's kind of like similar with what happened with Kimberly in this case. And then he helps the Rangers fight the Pumpkin Rapper monster, and then Rita makes the Pumpkin Rapper monster grow, and then after that they managed to defeat the Pumpkin Rapper monster in the Megazord, and then Rita gets upset. I'm guessing Rita gets upset that she lost again, and then it goes into a scene where Tommy and Kimberly are walking towards the youth center, basically, and Kimberly is telling Tommy that she's sorry that his Ranger duties prevented him from winning that trophy in that karate competition. But Tommy assures her that it's okay because there's going to be other trophies. But he's also apologizing to her for saying that he's sorry that them being interrupted by the Ranger duties prevented her from getting that car. And then Bulk and Skull show up in the car, and then Skull says about he wanted to take a ride in his brand new car, but then Bulk informs him that it's their brand new car. But then a woman from the network principal and practices shows up, and they're wondering Bulk and Skull are wondering who she is. And then basically she's saying that she's with the network principals and practices. They reviewed their last episode, the last episode of Trick or Treat, and found out that Bulk and Skull were cheating, so the car goes back to the studio, and then basically Skull said that the jig is up, and then after that the car drives, the woman in the network principal and practices in the car drives away, and that causes a little bit of a funny ending with Bulk because he still has the mummy stuff on. So it causes him to basically unravel, and that's basically where this episode stops. So if you guys like this video when I post it, I am going to probably try to post it today. So if you guys like this video when I post it, just please give this video the real best you guys can, and I will see you guys next time. So until then, like I always tell you with this series, may the power protect you always.